And welcome to EMS Underground. We're back again with a live here on Facebook video. I am Charles McFall.
Tom Kimpling.
As always, you remembered this week. I'm proud of you. That's good.
This week.
It's been a crazy week.
Sometimers. Sometimes I remember.
Well, just like in EMS, we have real world going on all around us, no matter what we have to do. So you might hear some noise, might hear some stuff come through. But today is all about the different types of EMS, and I'm going to be monitoring the chat here on my phone if I can get it up. I know you're working on that as well.
Yeah. As soon as I get it up.
Well, we're building to the point where we want you to email in. We want you to send in your questions, topics for us to talk about. I did talk to a friend of mine who, yes, carry on, thank you. I did talk to a friend of mine who I call him a super chief. So not only is he a fire chief in a volunteer department, he's the chief of all the chiefs in that volunteer department. Plus, I think he's a GMA director for that county.
Oh, my goodness.
He's also an EMT. He does instruction. He does all kind of crazy stuff. And I said, well, I know that, why do you not give me what I want here? I know, dang it, I'm trying to find it on the phone and I can't get my phone to cooperate. I know that for continuing education, good, you found it.
Yep.
For continuing education, that all we have to do to qualify for that is to be a show about EMS, right? You'll get a few hours of continuing education because it's like a magazine, you watch a video. But I said, what can we do more? And he came up with the idea of, for his professional, what he called his professional credits, he has to do, all it has to have is an objective and then a quiz at the end. Well, I'm like, well, Tom's all over that.
Yeah, we got that.
So we can work on something where we design these episodes to where we tell you what the objective is, and then we'll put in a link to the quiz at the end. You could also get on an email list so that it can be sent to you if you're here
Just
live.
go online, take the quiz, fill out the registration.
Right, and just done.
Damn.
And you don't have to. I don't think there's a way you have to log in. You don't actually have to be a student of Georgia EMS to do it. Or Georgia Institute of EMS.
We'll work on that.
So
I'll get with the state of Georgia, and we'll get that going.
Yeah, I had breakfast with the state of Georgia the other day. They said they liked the idea because it's a state and it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. All right, you talk for a second. I'm going to find this on my phone because it's driving me crazy.
Okay, so different types of EMS. Well, hey, let's just. First we've got the regular ambulance, right?
Right.
Then we've got hospital-based.
Well, what's the regular ambulance? You talking about
county-based? No, just a private ambulance.
Okay,
service.
private ambulance
Somebody
service.
comes up, buys a few ambulances, starts an ambulance, gets a contract, runs ambulance calls, right?
Right.
So then we've got the hospital-based, and that's where a hospital decides to get some ambulances. They put up the ambulances, and they're running ambulance calls.
Right.
Could be emergency or non-emergency. Then you've got fire-based. So that's where the fire department is going to come in. They have ambulances, and they're going to run emergency or non-emergency calls. Don't know. Could be either one.
Right.
And then you've got county-based, or what we call third service. And that's where the county or municipality, it doesn't have to be a county, it could be a city, whatever municipality it is, runs the service. So, and it can be, and the thing is too, this can also be paid or volunteer.
Okay.
So, because around the country, there's some states where the majority of the EMS providers are volunteer.
It's weird. I mean, from my mind, I always came up through a paid service. And
here in the Atlanta area, it's paid just about it. But you go across the line to Alabama, you've got some volunteers.
Right.
You go up north, and it is majority volunteers. Whenever I went to a research summit up in Wisconsin, Minnesota. It was in Minnesota. Yep, it was cold. Goodness, I thought Colorado was cold, but I never seen so much snow in my life. But however, the majority of the areas up there, they were telling me about all the stuff that these volunteers have to deal with, the challenges of being a volunteer EMT or volunteer paramedic. And there's a lot of areas out there that do not have adequate EMS service. Everything is kind of, you've got some EMTs, but you have no paramedics. But during the day, when everybody's at work,
right,
the EMTs or the paramedics may be coming from 70 miles away.
Okay.
Because everybody's at the factory.
Right.
Everybody's working, and there's no volunteers there.
It's hard to imagine a county a place to live that can't have a paid service.
Some of these towns only have 150, 200 people in it. Farmland as far as you can see, and the majority of the county is farmland.
Yeah, I guess.
I
get it. I know there's one or two counties in Georgia that are that way.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. I think it's under 5.
Today, I remember I was at a conference a couple of years ago here with the state of Georgia out in Savannah, and they were talking about that there are still some counties here in Georgia that do not have ambulance services and do not have 911. You have to call. You have to dial a 7-digit number to get.
You have to call the sheriff's department or a dispatch center or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or a 10-digit number to get, whatever.
911 came around in what, mid-80s?
Nope.
Late 70s, early 80s?
It was actually originated in Winston County, Alabama, was the very first 911 call.
Because y'all couldn't remember 7 digits?
Well,
you had to shorten it?
You have to.
Sorry, I had to pick it out whenever I can.
But roll Tide!
I still don't know why you like that detergent so much. It just, Georgia Tech's a real team, but it's whatever.
Count the rings, baby. Count the rings.
All right. So, football being aside, which makes for a fun EMS shift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on college football day.
You know what one of the best days I remember on shift was?
All right.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl Sunday.
We did not run a call. Watch the whole thing.
Because nobody will call for somebody dying until the game's over. It's like, you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
And even after that, it was a great shift. We even had a little barbecue.
Nice.
Maybe ran a couple calls.
Was that here in the county?
Yeah. I was up to Station 9.
Gotcha. This county being Newton County in Georgia. And there's a question I want you to think about. I don't know if we'll get to it to this show, but the never would's. Aside from incriminating yourself, we never ever want that on the show. Please do not write in with an email incriminating yourself, because
please don't.
That's just stupid. But it's the think about something that I'd like to maybe end with this question today. Think about something you always say, I never would do that, and then you ended up doing it for one reason or the other. So we'll get to that. I came up through, I guess technically, I came up through a hospital-based system first, which was the particular one I went to. And I'll drop names because it's changed since then. Athens Regional is where I started. Mm-hmm. It was horrible. It was so political. I came from a background where my dad was the pastor, so even in the church with all the politics, I was kind of above or outside the politics. Because one, they were about my father. Two, he essentially, in a business sense, he was the king, right? I mean, that's not how churches work. We all know that. I mean, there's boards and there's deacons, blah, blah, blah. But especially in a smaller church, when you didn't have a ton of people like that, it was, you would discuss things with people, but everybody looked to him to do everything. So I'm more used to that system. And politics, I just never have any use for politics, ever, in any sense of the word. And so I'm fresh out of school, man, fresh, wet behind the ears EMT. Had trained with St. Mary's and with Athens Regional. And St. Mary's wasn't hiring, or they never gave me the time of day. Ever, for any reason. I don't know why that was. But I went to Athens Regional, worked there not super long. I worked there less than a year, and I was PRN the whole time, and just fell into so many traps there. And this isn't all a hospital based, because Newton was hospital based. I ended up working there too, but this was just my first experience. And as somebody in their 90-day training period or whatever, there were bunk rooms, and you weren't technically supposed to sleep during the day, but there was, how EMS is, right? There's always these workarounds, and it's okay. Well, I was learning the hard way with politics, where it was okay for this hot chick to go and take a nap because everybody liked her and she's a hot chick. It was not okay for me, I was actually heavier at the time, 18, 19-year-old kid. It wasn't okay for me to go lay down because I was exhausted, and I got in trouble for it. And it was just, I ultimately just got run off. I just got run off from that place. Yeah.
The bad thing is those politics aren't just exclusive to a hospital-based, fire-based. They're everywhere.
True. And it comes with your leadership, I think, for sure.
What is it they said? Leadership, attitude reflects leadership?
I haven't heard that, but that's absolutely true. I mean,
So there's some benefits to the hospital-based service, right?
Yes. All your equipment's right there.
You got, usually with the accredited hospitals, the accreditation agency is not going to allow the ambulance service to be second rate.
Right.
You know, you can't have like really high tech monitors in the hospital and then
junk on
the ambulance. Yep. You know, you have to have something there, so you get some good equipment to work with. But you also, I feel like, in my experience being with the hospital-based service, I had more access to, so the nurses got to know me, and the physicians got to know me. Whereas, like, sometimes in EMS, whenever we go to other hospitals, and I'm not going to name any names.
Whisper, I'll name them.
Yeah. Whenever you go there and you get there, they're mean to you. They're horrible. Why are you here? You get the snaggle face, you know. They park you in the hall. You're like,
I can't remember.
Wow.
Oh, no, I do know a name.
Yeah.
I know one. It's south of us here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A little towards Atlanta, a little bit. But anyway, so when we come to our home, the nurses there know us. You know, we're comrades. I think they took better care of us. You know, there was challenges. Sometimes you butt heads, but I mean, that's anytime you get a group of people together, there's going to be bad heads butting. I mean, it's just how it is. Whenever you get 2 or 3 people together, at first, oh yeah, it's honky dory, great, blah 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 blah, and then next thing you know, maybe a week, month, 2 or 3 months, or even 6 months or a year later, eventually you're going to rub somebody raw.
Yeah. Or you have a bad day, you say the wrong thing, or give crap attitude. And,
yeah. But you kind of get over it, and because you work with each other. You know, we took ACLS together, we trained together, and, you know, we were on committees together. So I felt like that was a benefit, but what was a drawback was advancement.
There's not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. Yeah. Not a whole lot of advancement there. Right. Because, you know, you're EMT.
Yeah.
So you can advance to paramedic.
Right.
Paramedic to, now they have lieutenants over there, which I think, you know, isn't much.
Same as a captain?
Yeah, no, it's...
So they have a captain. Okay. So they added a rank level in there.
So you know, it's depending on the hospital where you're at, you may not be able to advance very far. So my experience was when we were there, it was EMT, paramedic, captain, director. And about as far as your career was going to make it would be if you were as director. You weren't going to be a vice president. You were not going to be a director of anything else in the hospital. You were going to move
into the hospital. No.
That was it. And so... But another benefit I think that we had was I think the pay was better.
It was.
You know,
it was a better starting pay than I normally had.
And
I asked when I applied for my loan, I asked for like an insane amount of money, like $18 to $20 an hour. I mean, or 40 grand a year, something like. He's like, everything else looks great on your resume, but this number is all. I was like, dude, I was at a point in my career where I was like, I am. Stuff's going on in my life. I'm changing up. I'm tired of not being able to pay my bills. And I ask. And I've heard you guys pay well. I don't know what that means. So, and then we negotiated. I don't remember what it was. It was average, maybe a high average for paramedic starting. It was still under what you were making as a captain at that point. And that's what he said. He didn't tell me numbers, but Michael says I have to make so much as a director than my captain. So I keep a fair window, so it means something when you get promoted. I agreed, and I took the pay. And it was still more than I'd made from where I was leaving. Yeah.
And the good thing is that our pay wasn't just based, a benefit to the hospital-based service, I think, is that whenever they're sitting down, they're divvying up, you know, the CEO and the CFO is sitting down trying to figure out, well, what are we doing this year for the employees as far as pay goes? You know, you've got all those streams of income coming in that are going to...
So you can lose money as EMS, but you're still balanced by the departments that make money.
Yeah. Or, like here at EMS was actually making money.
Yeah.
You know, we were very, successful.
Because that's the benefit of hospital-based system is he built in... Now, every ambulance service has their own billing system.
Right.
But when you're in a large hospital with a lot of automated stuff and it's already jumped through the hoops for JACO and Medicaid, they've got it streamlined like nobody's business. So all we had to do was turn in our billings, and they handled it in a streamlined system, which I think the government system, the Medicare, Medicaid, and all the insurances around it, look at a system better than, this is an EMS thing as an individual type service, those kind of things. So I think that's why we're making money instead of losing money.
Yeah.
Well, technically, when we go to private service, National EMS is where I work. They made money, or they would have shut their doors.
Private services aren't going to be
right.
open if they're not making money.
Right.
So let's talk about the private service.
Well, I'm going to tell a story about bad attitude.
Okay.
So I worked in Rockdale County for a long time. I've been worked all over this area. And in Rockdale ER, there are some people who are just famous for being nasty. I don't even know if they're there. It's been a decade since I've been there. But it was just, I walk in as a, hey, I'm happy to be there. That's always usually how I am. Hey, and just get on. And so I ended up getting this bad attitude. And there's this one nurse that I was like, she hates me, or she just has a bad attitude, whatever. And I walk in, and it was at night, and had a bad reaction. And I'll go in, and we have a little area where we write our paperwork. You can get on the phone, call your dispatch to get done. And I'm just, I don't know what you want me to say on here. I was complaining, I guess is a good word for it. I was complaining to my captain. Oh, so-and-so's bad attitude. Her name was Laura, actually. So Laura she's yelling. I hung up on her, and she's standing right there. She's like, instead of chewing me out, she goes, I had a bad attitude because this is what you gave me, and and it changed because apparently I'd come in with a bad attitude, and she actually did return it. But we actually talked about it, which is unheard of almost in this situation. We talked about it. We became like besties after that, and it made my attitude going in. Now, there's still some people who are nasty. I mean, that's just individuals, right?
That's just how it is.
And I think at the time that I was there, even after I left, because I qualified that way, I have no idea now, but that Rockdale knew they had a bad reputation all around with all the EMS services, and they wanted to change. Because it's not just them, it's the patients, too. They get that. And so, I mean, we got to where we worked together, at least in that small ecosystem locally. But yeah, I had a bad attitude. I mean, I just went in, and it was something I did that she was actually teaching me about. It wasn't an attitude thing. It was the way I called something on the radio, and she goes, here's how you could have phrased it that would have given you because she denied orders without asking the doctor, I think is what it was I was complaining about. Well, she denied because of how I phrased it. She knew the doctor was going to say no. She says, but if you phrase it this way, it would have gone, and I learned something, and I thank her for that because if she hadn't said that, I would have gone on thinking they're the worst ER in the world, attitude-wise, and they were. So sometimes it's you know.
So yeah, if you're getting, sometimes you got to look at yourself. Yeah. But going into the private services, one I think a benefit of the private service is accessibility. Especially for new medics, new EMTs, it's easier to get into a private service to get your feet wet, to gain experience. Yeah. Now, it's hard to talk about private services because there's like a full range spectrum.
Yeah, it's
you've got some where it's like, really, I came to work here, and you got some that you don't want to leave. I think National EMS is a good example. I'm not here trying to do a block or advertise for them, and if you're watching, you want advertising, let me know.
Huey, you got my number still.
Yeah, we'll hook you up, but we can.
So in real life EMS thing, Tom's wife is walking past the window with food,
dangling the food in front of us.
That's all. And she's going back and forth just so you can see it. That's awesome.
That's just wrong.
That is awesome.
Super wrong.
Is what that is.
But you've got really good services like National. Another one, I mean, AMR.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a nationwide. They're the largest in the country. They usually have good equipment, good supplies.
There was one down towards Med South. Is that?
Yeah, Med South.
Right? They were decent.
They're decent. They're big. I mean, everybody's going to have complaints. It's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job. They're not coming. They're not just going to give you money because you showed up. They're not here because, you need money.
Right.
You're there because they need you to work.
It should be a mutually beneficial relationship.
It should be mutually beneficial. So I think, the private services give you opportunity. A lot of them give you opportunity to grow. There's more advancement, I think, sometimes in the private sector. For things.
Yeah, because you can work your way up as a real company. A business company works differently as an ecosystem than a hospital does, or even a county does. So private ambulances work as more like a standard business company where you can work up to be essentially a partner in the thing eventually. You know, kind of like a law firm where you start off at the very bottom. Even the billing person can work their way up to be ahead of something. You know, ahead of a department, an actual department, ahead of the service. Yeah, those kind of things.
Yeah, and sometimes I think too in the private services, depending on the size, and the smaller private services, things can be more personal.
Yes.
You know the owner. You can actually invoke change. You have, people may listen to you.
You need to tell them they can come in because they don't understand they can come in. Y'all can come in. Real life. That's what EMS Underground is all about.
Georgia Institute of EMS. Y'all want to come see us? Y'all come on down.
They could definitely be. You know what? They could, if people are in the area, they could come and sit on the benches and watch us record this. That'd be awesome.
They sure can.
That was my second job.
Hello, everybody.
I went from the hospital-based Athens Regional that was very political, very difficult to swallow. Now, they required you to go work in the ER, which they're literally physically attached to the ER, so that wasn't a big deal. Mm-hmm. But it was you see this separation. Well, if you're on the truck out in the county, you can sleep all day. You don't have to do crap. But if you're at the hospital, which is what most of the trucks were, you had to be up, you had to be out of the side of the doctors, or you had to be in the ER doing stuff. And as a new guy, and I was bucking, as all new people do, you buck the system, you're learning, you're 18, you're 19, you're figuring out your way through everything. It's just a pain. And they had zero tolerance for that. So I left there, ended up working at Taco Bell for a little while, and then got a job. Somebody told me about National EMS was hiring and down in Morgan County, and I lived in Athens at the time. And so I had a meeting with Huey Atkins, and he did an interview. Side note, when do you stop taking tests? When are you a paramedic long enough? I'm as an EMT then, but when are you a paramedic long enough that you don't take a full exam to get hired? When does that stop?
It doesn't.
Okay. I didn't think it did, but I was just checking.
No.
So, of course, I'd take the test. I'd pass it with flying colors because I was super smart. I just had attitude problems. And I did. I mean, I had attitude problems. I was 18. Who doesn't have attitude problems at 18 or 19 years old?
No, I did too. I was going to say, we always say you have big toes.
Okay.
Swollen toes because it hurts when somebody steps
on them. I got you.
And you scream a little louder than most normal. You get like us now, it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you realize you don't have, Southern sayings, you don't have a dog in that fight.
Yeah.
So it was great. He talked to me, but I got little pay. I mean, that's just what it was back in the mid-90s, was little pay. Mm-hmm. But it was perfect for me because, like you said, it could be more personal. I got a lot more leeway. I got a lot more counseling, a lot more real-life training as opposed to book training. Everybody does continuing education. Some places, it doesn't have to be a private service. Just for me, it was. Some places will sit down and say, here's how you be a human being. And Huey did that for me a lot. Not Chuck Atkins. Why I say that's Huey's last name? Chuck Savage was another one. Roy Perry down there was another one. Those guys took the time to help me grow up and gave me room and
that's something you get like with the smaller services versus a huge service, because you've also got we talked about the hospital-based service here at Newton, but then you go to Grady, and Grady is huge. And I said, that there's not a lot of room for growth or whatever, like in a smaller hospital-based service. But if you go to Grady, there's a lot of opportunity there. They have a lot of layers and a lot of positions that you can move up into. So, I think every system, your private system has challenges. I think one thing about the private system is that they can be more responsive to the needs of the community sometimes, versus because they have less bureaucracy to go through, whereas the hospital-based, the operations director is going to have to go through a vice president, and the vice president is going to have to go through a CEO. There's, they always form committees, stuff like that. And then you have the fire-based service, and I think the fire-based service to me is, I wished I would have did fire-based EMS.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of, whenever you start at the fire service, that if I do this, and this,
it's very governmental.
I'm going to have an opportunity to get promoted. If I wait this long, if I do this, you know,
take this class,
take
get
this
that
class.
certification.
They're huge into training. Mm-hmm. So you're going to go and you're going to get a lot of training if you want it, and if you're motivated to do stuff, you're gonna make it. And at first the pay is not as good, but the pay starts catching up usually.
It's like anything else government based. A good friend of mine, actually, Will Douglas, Spencer, the one that Super Chief is what I call him, the one I referenced earlier, and you've got to meet him. He said, because he worked for government, he still does, but he started a long time ago. He said the government will get you for as little as they can to start you off, but you have a set system that bumps you up. You know exactly in 20 years what you're going to make. And unless you step up and get a promotion, and then you know in that tier what you're going to make. Right. Whereas the private sector, and this I've found to be true, I've quoted this so many times, the private sector will get you for as much as they have to get you in the door, and you won't go anywhere. And that sucks.
Unless you make your own.
Well, you make your own way. You go and you jump from service to service. One of the reasons why you do change services. You jump because that was a way to get a promotion or a raise. Exactly.
Your pay raise.
And that's just not EMS. That's all private sector that I have found, with some obvious exceptions. I mean, not obvious, everybody knows them, but it's just life. There's obviously exceptions to every rule. And I've had one in my life. But typically, you spend, as a private sector, you spend so much money. Let's just say as a private EMS service, you spend so much time and money investing in me, making me a great paramedic. But I can't afford to be there anymore. And National was my only one. So I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying this is the way it was at the time. And I've heard you said everything has improved across the board in the last 10 years since I've been on a truck. So just speaking from personal experience, from a history is all, National just wouldn't come off the money. They had different ways of doing things. I could have managed my money better. It was a equal-sided thing. But they trained me, and then I went to another service, which paid me more. And they got the benefit of all the training without having to do it, so they paid me more. It's a system that needs to be revamped, and I think there are people out there definitely doing it. But fire-based, you get hired, you're going to get basic firemen, and you're going to get $18 an hour, $15 an hour, 12 or whatever.
A year later, you can be relief driver.
Right.
If you do everything you're supposed to do, you don't get in trouble, you can be a relief driver. And then, so much time after that, with so much training, you're eligible to become the FAO or the engineer. Then after that, are we froze up?
I don't know. I'm going to check it. Keep going. Well, we're still recording, so keep going.
So then we can... jump ahead and, look forward to lieutenant and then look forward to captain and so on.
Exactly. And you take a class. Certain classes will get you a pay raise. Certain, you drive for a full-on, like Rockdale County is a full-on fire service. And so driver is a position that you have to earn. It's a promotion to be a driver. It's a promotion to be an engineer. It's a promotion to, they have so many layers. And you know, that's exactly what will happen if you...
I think we're back up.
Okay. That's exactly what's going to happen if you keep on with it. I never worked in a strictly fire-based service either. Mostly, honestly, because I didn't want to learn fire. I just had zero desire
At first, mine was I had a family, and I couldn't afford the initial pay cut. Even though, you had all the steps in between, I couldn't do the initial pay cut.
That was, okay, so, at one point when I was getting burned out working in Rockdale County for National EMS as a paramedic, I developed a really, really good relationship with the firefighters at our house that we stayed in. That's a fire station. For those of you who don't know, we call it a house. And they were talking about, I don't know if they ever went to this, but Rockdale County was talking about doing an ALS engine. Right, and then they'd be hiring paramedics, and so I seriously discussed with them, not ever turning in an application, but it was all theoretical. But we had serious theoretical discussions of what it would be, and they said, well, in all honesty, because they haven't instituted it yet, they had no idea what the pay would be for a paramedic because they need paramedics. But as the system stood, it'd be, even from what I was making, it'd be a pay cut. I had the same thing. I didn't have kids or anything, but I had a wife. And I was barely making the bills with the wife. So I was like, I can't. Let's say I was making $10 an hour at that point. They were going to cut me to $8 an hour.
Right.
I can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah.
You know.
Even though but you know what, the fire services have that challenge too, because like especially the smaller services out this way, they'll have employees come on, they'll get their firefighter certification, then they'll get them certified as EMT, and then they'll leave and go to DeKalb or to Atlanta or to Gwinnett or Fulton or whatever. So, these challenges are throughout throughout everywhere. The thing is, though, is like you kind of have to figure out what is it that I really like. Some people like the challenge of like the rescue situation. They like they like the structure. They like knowing, what I'm doing today. Like they like knowing that they can get the training. They like that. Some people like flexibility. So like when you go work for a private-based service or like even the hospital-based service, if I need the day off, I can swap shifts with you.
Right.
Can move things around a lot. You might can do that at the fire service, but I know it. It's a little different because on a shift you may only have 2 paramedics on a shift and some EMTs. And you and the other paramedic are responsible for that truck, so that's it. But at the hospital you got a whole shift and 3 shifts and and a lot of paramedics and PRN paramedics, which could come into play there. But all the types of services, they all have their benefits and advantages. It's all like, what is it that you really like, in the fire department, you're going to be risking your life. It's going to be physical. It's going to be.
Training is a lot more physical too. The water hoses, the gear,
and the expectations are the government. I mean, the people and the public expects you to be able to do the job.
Right, absolutely. So, next one is the county-based service. And you want to show? You need to help them real quick.
Yeah,
that's EMS. That's live
EMS,
right now.
We're live.
So, I'll start with the county-based service. That's the 4th type of service that we know about besides volunteer, right? And so, county-based is all about the county itself funds the service. I was in one in Jasper County, and they had the county sheriff's department. They had the county fire departments. And they didn't have paid fire departments, though. They had volunteer fire departments, and they had a paid EMS where we had the 3 shifts. There was always a paramedic and EMT, and 1 firehouse and a paramedic and EMT at the hospital station, but it was not hospital based. It just happened to be property on the hospital grounds that the county could subsidize, or I'm not sure how they worked out the legalities of that. But it was there, man. It was definitely a different beast. Now, I don't have a true... Because I was only with Newton for a short time. Newton's a county-based service, right? No, Newton's an ambulance-based service.
It's hospital-based.
Hospital-based service.
Yeah,
Everything's
they have
ambulance-based.
ambulances. Yeah. We don't do buggies anymore, Charles.
No, y'all do boss trucks. Now, those things are huge now. Yeah. We didn't have that. Okay, so in my day... Back in my day on the ambulance, I had to hunch over for everything I do. Now they're freaking ERs on wheels, man. They're nice. Anyway, so the only county-based service I had a experience with was 14,000 people in the county. So it's a small county. It's very good old boy, very whatever. And they didn't pay much, but I could walk to it from my house. And I lived in that county. And they did require some training in this and that and the other. And they gave me fire gear because I was at the fire station. And technically, it was all kind of the same. And I learned how to pump the truck. I learned how to... Because I tell you, I'm the medic. I am never going in to put out a fire, ever, for any reason. You got people... Because if I get lost, you have nobody to save me. I can save all of you guys. So I learned how to pump the truck and set things up. And we got certified to drive the truck to the scene to make it faster. But for the most part, it still was just heavy EMS. It was just extra. What was funny is I did go to one of their fire classes one night because my partner at the time was going through their Firefighter 1, I think it was. And I had to sit through the class with him. It was testing night. And it wasn't skill testing, it was written test. And my boss was the director of all the fire people, and he was teaching the class. And he was the FEMA, GEMA guy, which is... Federal Emergency Management, what's the A?
Administrator.
And G is Georgia, emergency medicine administrator. Anyway, he's like, hey, for giggles, you want to? Sure, I'll take the test. I got like a 68, just barely failed it without studying anything, and I still beat half the class.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, oh, no.
Oh,
what are we doing in this county? It's great. I mean, I'm very strong in test-taking skills, but that didn't matter. They took the class, and they failed the test.
Oh, goodness.
I was like, yeah,
Poor
this
guys.
does not make me excited to be here. What about you? Were you in a county-based service?
Yeah, I've worked for Walton.
Okay. I've never worked for Walton, so talk about that.
You know, at the time when I was at Walton, there was just you and your partner, and then there was the director. There was, nothing else. They had good equipment. It was a good service. I mean, people, it's now moved up now. They have supervisors. Things have changed because the county's grown so much.
Sure.
They've got good trucks. I think they're well funded. They pay well. They've had a pretty good schedule and stuff like that. So, I mean,
well, that's one of the differences. Okay, you talked about the county growing. County services are tax revenue based. And if there's not a ton of tax revenue,
if
the
you
money's
remember,
not there.
If you remember whenever we hit that recession, things got tight on us. But, we always had jobs.
Right.
That's the good thing about this profession.
Lives
is that we have good jobs. Hey, we have a question.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's finish wrapping
Michelle,
this.
we'll get to you. Or Michael, we'll get to you in just a little bit. So just hang on.
Yeah.
So, the county-based service was good. We worked for Jasper, but then look at Jasper.
What's it? Yeah.
So it goes
tiny.
like you've got like a really, really good, pretty progressive system. They do pretty well for their employees up in Walton. But then you go to Jasper, and I think Jasper tries, but it's like you were saying, it's the revenue. It's how much money's coming in. Whenever you have a whole county of just a few thousand, less than 10,000 people, I mean, you're not in there. I remember when I was in Jasper, because I worked Jasper too. I went a month and didn't run a call.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you're not running calls, people, this is the thing, okay? If you're not running calls, your service is not making money. If your service is not making money, guess what?
You're losing money.
They're not going to be able to pay you more.
Because it's all supplement. So the county makes a budget, bare bones budget of what can we get by with without shutting down, expecting that you'll have billables to a certain extent. Now, here's something. I don't know if it's all county services. It seems like it is because it seems like it's a governmental law thing. But I know Jasper County, I talked to them because I came from national to them, or at least in my background. Newton EMS, we could take non-emergency calls from the ER. I mean, we rarely went to somebody's house. It would happen. But typically, we weren't doing the take them over to dialysis, but every once in a while we could. Because that was part of the hospital system. National EMS made their bread and butter on having non-emergency trucks to supplement the 911 trucks to take those all the time. That's insurance. I mean, that's guaranteed insurance. They will not take that call unless they're guaranteed to get paid. But that's the beauty of non-emergency is you can have the time to guarantee the pay, whereas emergency medicine ain't about the money. You might never get paid for that call.
Yeah, they may sit there and tell you, I'm not paying for it. Yeah. But you're going to take me to the hospital.
Right.
And you're
or the insurance might deny for whatever reason.
Yeah,
or
whatever.
Yeah. There's all kind of reasons you don't get paid on a 911 call that are legitimate. Well, the one telling you I'm not going to pay, I guess technically that's legitimate, especially if they have no money, but whatever.
Right.
But counties, at least Jasper County, was not set up for that. I don't know if that's a legal thing or if they just didn't want to go through the hoops. But so with that county-based service, you're not supplementing your income.
But I saw a Jasper County ambulance. They look brand new. The Joker looked nice.
They go through. That was the last service I worked for. It's been about 10 years. So
it looked nice. I don't know anything. If anybody out there knows about Jasper now wants to comment on it, let us know because it's been a while since I worked there. Now, when I worked there, like a benefit to working there was the extreme flexibility. I mean,
they'll shut down a truck. At least when I was there, they would shut down a truck if you didn't come in. No, I stopped that mess.
Yeah, they don't. I never asked for that or did that, but if I needed extra shifts here or there, I could usually pick them up, or I could, or somebody else was wanting a shift, I could swap around.
And that was the kind of service.
I could get a lot of studying done when I was there too. Because I was in school, I could go there, and I'm getting paid, $10, $11 an hour to do homework.
Yeah.
You know? So that's a decent trade-off for me. I mean, I'm not, I didn't complain about it.
So the way some of their stuff works is you can have, anybody can sit in, there's certain like budgetary meetings anybody can sit in on. And EMS Fire was together, and we were putting together a budget. And I went because I was on duty and because I cared and because I had nothing better to do. Because I was on duty, we weren't running calls. It was some kind of budgetary meeting, and there were 2 former county commissioners that came. Mm-hmm. Older gentlemen, a little bit grumpy. I was at the end of my career at that point. I mean, I just wasn't paying my bills, didn't give a crap. I mean, my attitude wasn't bad. I mean, I came in to do the best job I had, but it was a divergent path for me where I was starting to value myself and understand what I did was good, and didn't give a crap about the people who thought it was bad. And so I happened to be sitting next to them at this table, and they're flipping through their proposed budget. And it shows overtime for paramedics, right? Because you work 24-hour shifts, which is not overtime. It's not everything over 8's overtime.
So you get 48 hours one week, right. 72 hours the next.
Yep. And so there's overtime. And these 2 gentlemen started going, why is there so much overtime in the budget? Why can't they just hire more paramedics and make them work regular hours? And I'd lost it because I was so stressed out. I was like, I'll tell you why. Because I don't make $30,000 a year as a paramedic to save your life at 3 in the morning. I just spread it. I think I was making $10 an hour. It came to like $29,000 a year.
That's the thing about, they don't understand
didn't know.
it.
No, they were like, oh my God. What?
What?
I mean, I was like very aggressive, so I expected them to get mad at me. No, they were like, we're shocked. Are you serious?
That's why you get the lower hourly rate, because you got the built-in overtime. But
it's not enough.
But it's
just not enough.
It's not. I mean, well, now they do pretty well, but I don't know what they're doing in Jasper.
Well, yeah, I don't know either.
But I know there's certain places, and if you're not doing well somewhere, that's capitalism, y'all. Go somewhere else. You know?
Yeah.
That's what most of us had to do. That's what I did.
It drove me off the truck. It drove me to an office that used my medical skills, gave me flexibility just like well, not as much as Aimless did, but paid me a lot more. I mean, I got a $6,000 a year raise instantly. I mean, I went from $10 to $15 or $16 an hour with a guaranteed bump in 6 months after I passed my CCT, which is a certified cardiac technician that we talked about last week. But that's the different services, right? And now that's one county. Walton was a much better county service, but they still have limitations. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their ups and downs, and you're going to get different experiences. And I've worked for 3 out of 4. Sounds like you worked for 3 out of the 4.
Yeah.
So the only one we don't have is the full fire-based service.
Right. I haven't worked there. I did volunteer.
Okay.
I did volunteer, and then we'll talk about volunteer after we get to Michael's question. So you want to take it first, or?
I'll read it. You take it.
Okay.
What's the scariest scene you have ever rolled up on?
I don't know. I haven't really rolled up on a scene that was really that really scared me, to be honest.
Sure, I can get that.
That, because by the time I got there, I think it was pretty much under control. The scariest scene that I've been on, okay, where I was the scaredest, was me and my partner one day responded to a medical alarm. And you remember back in the days when medical alarms were just coming out, and everybody started getting them. You have where alarm systems are now affordable. They just got where they're affordable to everyone, has them in their house. So, and on the keypad, you got like a fire button, a police and EMS medical or whatever.
Yeah, so, it's a medical, and you're right.
So usually it's a little cross. I don't know what it is, but on everybody. But, so anyway, apparently, we get called to a medical alarm. Well, how many times you run medical alarms and you get there, it's just like the police alarms and the fire alarms and all the alarm companies constantly, false alarm.
Yes.
And then they made the law saying, well, you get 3 false alarms a year, and after that you're charged, right?
Right.
But still, we get false alarms all the time, and plus all the time, most of the time, it's like somebody fell and needs help up, or it's usually not somebody's dying, because usually that's somebody calls 911 on that, right? Well, so we go over there. me and my partner was Danielle. I don't know if you remember Danielle. She's about like that tall, little lady. And so we go rolling up.
Younger lady though? Yeah. Okay.
From like Wisconsin. Had the Wisconsin accent. Yeah. So she's now in Savannah somewhere. But so we go walking into the house, and I go walking in. I've got my clipboard, and she's got a clipboard. No, I remember I had the clipboard. She had the jump bag because it was my time to tack.
Right. So you got your critical gear. You got the clipboard.
Yeah. Yes. Ready to get in there and get the paperwork. So we go in, knock on, so as we get there, another car pulls up right in front of us.
Okay.
And it's a lady. And I'm like, hey, do you know what's going on? She's like, no, I have no clue. This is my house. And the door was open. And I was like, okay, well, we have a medical alarm. She said, oh, okay. So we walk in. And when we walk in, we say, hello, anybody here? Don't hear anything. Look down and...
So was there not a question about who would be at home?
Yeah, well, she said her husband was supposed to be
okay,
home.
Okay.
So right. I'm like, well, we got a medical alarm. Can we come in? She said, yeah, come in. So she goes one way, and, we kind of, are standing there, and we're looking, hello, and then I see some blood in the kitchen.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, so we go in the kitchen, and then we see the blood, and we start following the blood trail. Well, then I see the handprint on the wall where somebody had smacked the keypad.
Okay.
I think he was in distress. He just hit the keypad.
I kind of know where the story's going already. Oh,
so
man.
Then we follow the blood trail to...
I saw the episode of CSI. Yeah, you're lying, Tom.
So we follow the blood trail to the garage, and then we turn around, and when I turn around, the reason why I turn around, I hear somebody screaming, get on the effing ground! Get on that! And I was like, what the heck? And you know how usually whenever these alarms come in or something, the deputies come
right,
with
they
us.
Don't know what's going on.
They wasn't required to, but nothing else was going on. Thank goodness they did.
Okay.
Because here she is standing in the kitchen with the bloody knife.
She found it?
No, what had happened was that she had caught her husband cheating on her.
No,
and she had. And
she's the one who pulled up too.
Yeah, and she pulled up. So she had stabbed him in the bicep or in the tricep, and he had a huge gash. He had actually got out the garage and was in the woods, and we found him. And she had stabbed him. And I turned around, and I was like, she was standing there. I was like, wow, that's a new thing about scene safety. Freak out. So after that...
I mean, you wouldn't think about that. She's a homeowner. She wasn't on scene when you got there, right? She pulled up right in front of you. So
yeah, I think she was looking for him because he had left, and she was looking for him.
Okay.
She didn't know that...
Do you think she was going to do something about you?
I don't know. I think she was just standing there with a knife, maybe trying to get rid of it or something.
Okay.
I don't.
You didn't feel threatened.
I didn't feel too threatened. I didn't feel. Now we did. I have ran a call where I was threatened, and which was scary as well. Was me and Jason Hale.
I remember Jason. Yeah.
Me and Jason Hale ran a call. A lady was having chest pain, and her husband didn't want her to go to the hospital. She wanted to go to the hospital. Next thing I know,
I remember you telling me the story.
He pulls a taser on us, and then he goes to go, and I call for help on the radio. He looks at me and says, "Did you just call the police?"
No, I called the coroner. I'm about to whoop your ass.
So then the son said, he goes to the house, and the son says, "Y'all got to get out of here," because he's going to get the shotgun.
Oh, Lord.
So he got, we got out of there pretty quickly. And we, unfortunately, we had to tell the wife, "You got to get out of the truck." So she got out of the truck, got in the car with the son, and the son rushed her to the hospital. We couldn't get out. The husband had blocked us in.
Okay.
So we got her out of the ambulance.
About some legal
got
stuff.
him into the car. But the legal thing is, it's scene safe. Our safety's
first. Yeah. You had to make sure to do what you had to do. Absolutely.
We're not going to die for him.
Oh, no.
If I got to leave, so we got her out, and then we got out of the, we got away.
Right.
And the police and sheriff and state patrol showed up, and That was crazy.
Now, we're going to get to Brandon's question. And remember, I got 2 quick stories to tell also.
Okay.
So, the most TV scary moment I ever had, right, it was in Jasper County. And it was on this road where people sped all the time. And we got a Tbone Collision because it's right where this intersection comes in. And somebody's going. And we start to go up. And the police had beat us there. And we could see one car over here on fire. Because as you pull up, you figure out where to park. We see skid marks. We see where a car should be. We don't see a car. And we see the other car on fire, fully engulfed. And the fire was right behind us. Fire department was right behind us. And so we stayed. We didn't stay, but we parked our ambulance in a safe spot. And as soon as I get out, look up an 8-foot embankment. I mean, it's higher than I am. And there's a car upside down on a post on the embankment. They had been driving so fast. When those Dodge, not the Charger, there was some Hemi-based car. I don't remember. I know what it was at the time. I can't remember now. But the engine was way too big for the car. And he was just trucking down the road. And this family car pulled out in front of him. I don't know who was at fault. I'm just saying this is just the mechanics of it. He hit them hard enough to spin them back down the road, like 3 car lengths back the way they came. That car caught on fire. He flipped up the 8 to 10 foot embankment hard enough to impale the car on a post on the top of that thing.
Wow.
It was, yeah. So, I mean, I get there, the cop's like, I was like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to call, because my hands were full. I was like, I don't have a radio. My partner, I said, you go check out. You got to go up the hill, because it was only 2 of us at the time and a cop. I said, you go up and find out what's going on with him. I'm going to go over where I see people on the ground, and I'm going to do that trauma assessment real fast. And it turned out basically 2 out of the 3 were okay. The dad was foobar. I mean, he was circling the drain right there. And so, okay, this is my patient. And I told the cop, here's what you're going to do. You're going to radio. I verbally slapped it. I can't remember what I said, but I verbally did that TV. Slap! Get out of it. But without actually putting my hands on it, I was like, here's what you're going to do now. Key up that radio. Call for 3 helicopters. Call for this, that. And he dispatched it. And he did exactly what I told him to. And it went so TV smooth. And actually smooth enough. And they all survived. All the people survived. They got the car put out. They got the guy extricated off of the thing. My backup truck took him. My partner came in. We flew him. No, we flew him. We flew the dad. We didn't end up flying a third person, I think. Somebody else took him. I don't remember. Maybe I'm miscounting bodies. But we had 3 helicopters on the ground. It went smooth enough at a point that we were able to take a picture of the 3 helicopters lined up on the street.
Cool.
I don't have it anymore, unfortunately.
Dang.
That was such a cool shot. But yeah, I mean, that was the TV one of you. That's what they always show on TV, right? All this mayhem. It was mayhem. It just bam, everything clicked into place. Everybody, I was seeing, even after the chief got there, which was supposed to take over scene command. Nope. I did turn it over to him only because I was like, okay, now I'm going to focus on my patient only. But like, no, I'm command. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And he actually came out. It was the director of Jasper. Can't remember his name. Ed. He brought the truck. He's like, what do you want me to do? It's like, I want you to do this. And then finally I turned to her. I said, okay, now you start running the scene because everything's smoothed out medically. But it was crazy. When you jogged the memory when you're talking about the shotgun. I think it was again in Jasper County. It's a big deer hunting area, right? And it was right at the beginning of deer season. And we get called out to the edge, about as far out as you can go, edge of the county. Dark, it's 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we just so happened to have one of our local off-duty sheriff deputies come hang out with us. And his cousin or brother, somebody who had been in the military, was on leave, who had been a volunteer fire department. So we're all just hanging out talking. Both of them have weapons on them because it's legal, blah, blah, blah. And we get this call. I'm like, hey, you guys want to come? Because one is a sheriff's deputy who wanted to learn more about medicine, and he could legally third ride. The other was a former, who's technically still a volunteer, but he was a former volunteer because he was no longer in the county's active Air Force. And they're like, yeah, sure. They jump in the truck. And the one deputy said, well, I'm going to drive my car out there. Just don't know why, just will. Okay. So deputy car, off duty, but deputy car and us would go out there. It's supposed to be somebody's passing out. They won't wake up. Well, everybody drinks at a deer camp. We know this. So we book it out there because we don't know, but we're not panicking. We pull up, we're still not. Everybody's like, oh yeah, he's over here. And dude was circling the drain. I don't know what was going on. To this day, I don't know what's going on. We couldn't find any injuries, but it's still, even though it's October, he's right next to a fire. It's still kind of warm and shot. He was cold to the touch. He was pale. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's sick. And I think it was just enough with his mind saying no, but it wouldn't have been a legal no. And his wife was like, I don't know. I don't think you should go. And everyone's like, no. I was like,
yeah,
you have the right to refuse, but I just flat out tell him, I'm telling you, he's dying. And she says, I don't know. I don't want him to go. There wasn't a whole lot I could do. I can't remember what was going on, but I was like, I'm trying to talk him into it. All of a sudden, I felt the deputy, let's call them deputies, but it's the Air Force guy, deputy guy, back off of me. And I'm like, something's not right. And I look up, and people are moving towards their guns. And I'm like, I told my partner, I told him right now, I said, you get on this stretcher, or we're going to leave you to die. No words, no miswords. I told him, his wife. His wife was like getting physical with me, pushing me off of him. Like, I was trying to be tactful. Right, he's he's having a medical emergency. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's cold to the touch. This isn't alcohol. That's what she goes. Oh no, he's just drunk. Maybe she was trying to kill him. I don't know what the deal was, but everybody thought I was saying he wasn't going, and they started yelling at me. I literally had them yelling at me, and I told my partner, "You go get in the truck right now." Because I already had the stretcher, and I told her, "Hey, here's the deal. I'm going to leave him to die, and he will die before I get out of this driveway, or he's coming with me right now, but we're leaving." And the deputy, I mean, they had their hands on their guns because all of a sudden the attitude changed. I don't know what changed, but they were going to the hunters were going to pull their guns on me. And I'm like, The second you get to, yeah, we took him to the hospital. She's like, all right, fine. And we barely strapped him down, just dumped, hauled into the truck, told my partner, I said, we're not even checking him out. Get in the truck, let's go. And the Air Force guy got with me, the other deputy was right in his car calling him back up, and he'd already done that. I mean, backup was already on its way as far as the deputies went. But I was like, what? That's not even your situation where I don't even know what the redneck dude was doing with the shotgun. Why he didn't want his wife. But it's like, the real situation is just the patient and the wife. Why are these drunken deer hunters going for their rifles? And that was the only time I realized I was in a truly dangerous situation. And I was like, nope. My safety's first. I go home in the morning. You can die, and I will sleep like a baby. Right. I do not care. We're leaving. You can either come with me right now or not.
Right.
And I honestly don't know what was going on. Crazy.
It's weird that they wouldn't want him to go to the hospital.
Crazy. Well, I think some did, some didn't. They're all drunk.
Yeah.
Nobody was sober at this place, which is unusual. Actually, usually there's somebody there who doesn't drink. Nobody was sober, and which is always a bad combination, but somebody was yelling I should take him. Somebody was yelling I should leave them, and it was like
that kind of excludes them from being able to refuse. Though if you're intoxicated, it's kind of that's slippery slope.
It is. Well, I wasn't even trying. I mean, he needed to go.
Yeah.
But there's one of those things. Well, you start breaching this gap of she was sober enough that she was in her right mind. I mean, that's where I had the problem was he was medically, and I'm okay. You got to think about being on the stand, right? I did not have a blood alcohol test kit. I did not have a breathalyzer. I'm not an expert in alcohol. So if she's of her right mind, even though he's medically basically wasn't, where's the legal line? And I was trying to toe that line until the guns got involved. And I'm like, he's coming or not, I don't care. Now it's legally changed. Now I'm out of here. And
now you're pulling the guns out.
It was. It took a long time for me to tell my wife that story because, of course, it'd freak her out. But
usually, you want to err. It's easier to err on the side of transport than it is on refusal. Because if he was to die, then everybody changes their mind. Well, the medics were here. They should have took. They knew better. They were the professionals. Rarely does anybody ever get sued for taking them.
Now, I'll give a suggestion because everybody has smartphones nowadays, right? Everything can be recorded, even if you don't. I'm not talking about the streaming that some people do. We're doing right now. Hey, this is Facebook. We're streaming live. It's a new medium. We need you to hit those thumbs up. We need you to share this. Hit the hearts all throughout the video because it matters. It helps us grow and it means something to us. So please keep doing that. But beyond that, I have voice memo. I think that even came with my iPhone. You can get free apps. If I were to go on any scene, because you can, maybe you just do it for every scene. I mean, I think every cop should have a body cam.
But you got to be careful because now, people's been doing that and then people are suing and stuff. But I think the industry needs to have a standard. We're all carrying these laptops now and people are signing.
Right.
They've got cameras on it. Okay, you're getting a refusal just like we're doing now. Record. I need you to record in the camera that I need you to say into the camera that you understand the risk associated. I've offered you alternatives. I've offered you, transportation and treatment, and you are of sound mind, and you are willingly refusing transport.
Yeah.
I think that technology's on the way.
I wouldn't mind paramedics and firefighters having body cams.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
But
it's
you got
just the technology that's important.
You got people with their privacy and stuff. And,
yeah, because, you're right. Because with police calls, it's all public. There is no private expectation with that. I would err on the side of, I'm going to record it and I'm going to store it somewhere. If you sue me, you can have the whole recording.
Well, the medical record
that's all
system,
it is.
It can be attached to the medical record somehow.
Right.
I mean, this is something that's probably not been developed yet, but this is just ideas that we're talking about, y'all.
It's about
if
safety.
You're a student, don't think this is something that is happening right now. But I'm sure the future is getting there, because now we got telemedicine. Eventually, in the back of the truck, we're going to have a camera, and we're going to be consulting with the physician right there.
Right. That's already happening in some major areas.
Yeah.
It's happening back in my time. They were working on it. So, all right, Brandon says, any general advice for somebody entering the field? Become a doctor, get paid better? What annual salary can different levels of EMS be expected to earn in the metro? You've kind of talked about it before, but what's the general gist for the Atlanta area?
The general for like the advanced EMT, 30s, low 30s, mid 30s. EMTs somewhere in the 20s.
Oh, that hurt. Because when I was a paramedic, it was low 30s.
Yeah. In the metro Atlanta area, as a medic, you're like, mid 30s up to the low 50s, depending on where you work and how much experience you have. And it depends on, am I going to work for a private sector? Am I going to work for a hospital-based? Am I going fire-based?
Look at your bigger package. Now, I'm one to say...
There's a ton of packages out there. A lot of people are offering things. And look at long-term, too. Because some of the places that whenever you jump in and they say, we're going to offer you, $48,000. Well, you may be stuck at $48,000 for a long time. Whereas you may go work for a service and they may say, hey, we're going to offer you $42,000. But in 6 months, you're going to get a raise. And then every year after that, you're going to get a raise. If you
the hospital was good about that, actually.
You get a raise. So you want to look at those type things. And usually, too, this is like not counting. People say, about the salary. That's not counting the overtime. So let's say if your base rate is $45,000 a year, right?
That does count overtime, doesn't it?
No. Well, when I say overtime, I'm talking about extra shifts beyond what you get.
I got you.
And that's something too. Whenever we usually in the industry talk about overtime, you get overtime legally usually every pay, unless you work for a fire-based service. Now that's totally different. Fire-based is a different system, but for your private-based systems,
you get an extra day off every shift. Yeah, every pay period rather.
Every pay period. Yeah, you get a Kelly day to keep it around the same.
That's it. Kelly days.
So, for your regular EMS system, 1 week you're going to work. It's almost like a 6-week cycle is going to happen here with your pay. So week 1 you're working 48 hours. Week 2 you're working 72 hours. Then the next week you're working 48 hours. Then the next week, on week 4, you're working another 72 hours. But then the third pay period, you're only getting 48 and 48.
Yeah, it hurts.
The third pay period, you drop.
Yeah.
But however, if you add that up over the course of the year, you're going to make about, most places, let's say your salary is $45,000 a year. Well, if on that third pay period, instead of working 2 48s, you pick up 1 overtime, an extra shift.
Right, pops it back up to 96.
So now you are, so that one shift, that one extra shift may be the difference of $1,000.
Yeah.
Right, extra every. So you go from making 45 to now if you do that consistently every third pay period, then you are going to get close to 50 by just working. Consistently 48, 72, 48, 72,
now,
48,
it's a little difficult to do that. A lot of people do pull second jobs. I think, and this is something I meant to mention to you, I think that AAT schools should also teach the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University stuff. And that's something I've actually taught in the past. So honestly, you just have to get the stuff, which would be about $100, and I can teach the class. But if you can learn financial management while you're learning medicine, that changes the ball game. Because I admit it, with National they didn't pay a lot, but I didn't manage my money well either.
But a problem that I see too,
I could have done fine.
Being an educator like I have been, and also being in management like I have been, I've seen a lot of young folks. You know, EMS is a young man's job, young woman's job.
Sure.
A lot of times you get into EMS when you're early, late teens, like 19, 20 years old, early 20s, right? You go from your job has been waiting tables, making, like $2 or $3 an hour plus tips, or you've worked retail
or fast food or something, minimum wage and stuff,
minimum wage, and now you're on ambulance.
Right, a real
career. And for them, that is a huge jump.
Right.
They're going from making $17,000 a year to now they're making $28,000-$30,000 a year. 30
today,
depending on where they're at,
right.
Or even way back then. I mean, they go from making $10,000 a year to now they're making $20,000 a year. $10,000 a year difference is huge for a single 20-year-old.
Yeah,
that has a lot. They're used to living off $10,000. So then, what do? They go out and they buy the Ford F-250 4x4 dually. And they've got the $500 or $600 a month payment.
Right.
They've got.
They're always going out to eat.
Always say what happens. What ends up happening is instead of them owning their stuff owns them.
Yeah.
So now they have to work the extra shifts, and you have to work all the extra stuff. So you don't want to get into that thing. So that's where the financial planning would be really good. But the thing is too, I want to point this out because I hear these arguments all the time, and I've been a career EMSer. Okay. Even back in the day, when I was a paramedic and I was making a paramedic salary of $30,000 a year, teachers with 4-year bachelor's degrees were making less.
Yes, that is true.
The median salary for a lawyer is only about $50,000 a year. Everybody thinks, lawyers make so much money. There's a lot of on the high end. There's a lot of lawyers out there straight doing whatever they can do. And there's a lot of lawyers out there. Trust me.
Yes.
There are a lot of professions, psychologists, counselors. They have master's degrees, and here we are as EMTs going through a year's worth of school getting certification. Mm-hmm. And we're making more money.
Half a year.
We're making more money than they are.
Yes.
And they have master's degrees. So,
it's still not making the bills.
It still may not, but I'm just saying career-wise.
Yeah.
What you're putting into it, you're putting a year into it. They're putting 8 years into it.
Sure.
It's not bad. It's not the best either. Right. But it's better than a lot. So you really got to think about what it is you want to do.
Now, we got one more question we can get to, and then the rest we'll have to. Actually, that bottom one will be a great topic for next week. But I want to say, when you go out looking for the jobs, you don't just look at the money. I'm the kind of guy that says ignore the insurance. Everybody offers insurance. It's never free unless they say we absolutely 100% pay for your thing. Like, no, we sell stuff. Then that means it's going to come out of your check. You're going to pay something for insurance. Yeah. I ignore that.
Either
personally.
A lower salary or whatever.
Right. So figure out what else they offer. What are they? Extra training will help you get through paramedic school. We provide the uniform should always be a key. Always. How do you feel when you talk to the person? Know your bottom number. Know what you need to live, because that's important. You should never take less than what you need to live, because honestly, insurance isn't going to cover your food on the table. Awesome training is not going to cover your food on the table. If I had to do it over, I think I would have. I love the path that I took. I don't regret anything. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't go the path I went down. But I can look back and go, with National EMS, they had the best trucks at the time. And now everybody else is raised up to meet them. But they had the best trucks in the state at the time. They had some of the most advanced equipment. They were on the cutting edge of medicine. As soon as Versed, there was some technique about putting somebody down for a tube with Versed. It's been a while, and I just learned it right before I left there, so I don't remember it now. But that just got an approval in the state. National was on it. Mm-hmm. They had already seen it coming. They had already ordered the drugs. They had already started training us on how to do that. That was great. If I'd learned to manage my money, that'd have been a perfect place to be. But I didn't, and they couldn't pay me enough, and blah, 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 and I hear it now. So I'm just saying, look at the whole package, not just the money, and ignore insurance, because everybody offers insurance.
Like some people, insurance is a big thing. Like if you've got 5 kids.
But everybody offers insurance is what I'm saying. Everybody.
Not everybody now.
Well, then, if you got 5 kids and they're offering insurance, then that's important to you.
That's important to you. So. Now, let me tell you, insurance isn't out in the private sector. Because I know you're probably like me, we're doing our own insurance thing. Yeah. But insurance has changed. It's not.
Sure.
I remember the day when I could go to the doctor and pay $20 copay and everything was covered. It is not the same. And now insurance is like through the roof. That's another discussion.
I did a whole show on Rock Got Up Podcasting about how insurance is a scam. And I talked about my EMS days and talked about my private sector days. And you can go find that. It's fine. Yeah. All right, one last question, and then we're going to talk about next week. Hey, Mr. Tom, can you all explain to all the new EMTs the importance of safety and cleanliness of themselves and equipment after each call when they start working EMS? Have seen firsthand through the years, both on fireside and EMS side, terrible things regarding those areas. Thanks and awesome job, guys. Well, thank you. Make sure you hit those shares and the like button and the heart buttons, but thank you.
That's a good question, Wesley. I mean, and very relevant for new EMTs. I mean, one, the cleanliness, and I can tell you, I worked at when I worked at another school somewhere, I had a student that we had to send home because they stunk.
Oh yeah,
and cleanliness is one thing because you're in close quarters with your partner and with your patient, and if you stink, that's really selfish. So you need to make sure that, you're clean. But also, too, like your cleanliness, like whenever you get home, after you've worked a shift, when you get home, you need to have a plan of what you do with your clothes. Especially if you've got children at home, you don't just need to come home and, kick your boots off over in the corner and throw your clothes in with the regular laundry. And next thing you know, the kids are in there playing in your bloody, disease-covered clothing. All right. You need to, train your family like, hey, my work clothes need to be washed separate, or they need to, be washed with this detergent. I remember I used to use Clorox for colors with bleach.
Okay.
It's just so that my clothes was kind of, sanitized a little bit. I remember when I worked at AMR early in my career, I loved their spot because we had a locker room. They provide your uniforms. Whenever you come in, they clean them too. You change your clothes there, and you put them in the hamper, and then the uniform comes, and you go to your locker. There's a new pressed set of uniforms in there. Now you have a set for every day, and that was real nice. But whenever I come work for other services, we don't have that benefit. But you need to make sure that you think about your clothing. Because even like, whoever's washing the clothes, what if it's your mom, your wife, your sister, your children, or even yourself whenever you're there. It doesn't matter, who's doing the cleaning.
Not Tom, apparently.
Yeah. Well, sometimes me too. Yeah. But, you stick your arm into that hamper and you grab that clothes and you're grabbing like, where somebody, had vomited or bled or something. You need to take care of that. Now, what you need to know also is most services, or all services actually, are supposed to have an infection control plan. If you are peed on, pooped on, bled on, vomited on, or anything, there should be a plan in place where you're not even taking those clothes home. But there's the invisible things you don't see.
Yes.
It's like the person that has MRSA. And you didn't know they had MRSA.
Right.
And you rubbed up against them, and now you got it on it. Or the kid that has RSV, and they coughed all over you, and now you come home, and that clothing is with your kids.
Yeah.
Or the flu, or anything like that. So plan on, like, what am I going to do with my clothes whenever I come home to keep my family from becoming infected with something potentially. Even though the risk is low. Don't think I'm saying this like, oh my gosh.
No,
I got to run home. My kids are going to die. No, it's not like that, at all. But, it's you never know. Think about that. So when you're...
Beyond that, I mean, you're right with the safety. Beyond that, it's the smell.
Yeah.
I remember running a call, in Morgan County, down on the lake. And this guy, I think, had I always mix them up. Muscular sclerosis is the one that you can have as an adult, right? I think he had early stage of that. So he could still get around. He had a special chair if he needed it. He had a special van if he needed it. But he was out fishing all day, sweating in the hot sun, stunk. I mean, he worked all day as a whatever he did. Then gone out fishing just after dark, got back to his van. Probably hadn't eaten or something. It was a combination of it triggered his MS, and he couldn't do anything about it. And he's stuck in the woods, and he apologized the whole time to us. But we chose just to tote him out instead of get a KED or whatever. Or not a KED. Yeah, KED, the chair, right?
The stair chair?
Stair chair is what I'm thinking of. Instead of getting that, or maybe it's just too many trees. It's just me and my partner. We did the cross your arms, did the bear hug grab. He grabbed the feet. And the guy was just stink all over us. Well, I was young. I was new. I was only given like 2 uniforms. I was still living at home. I had to let my mom wash them, all that stuff. I was a very standard young guy, not thinking about things, and never brought an extra uniform with me. And that was at a normal time at night, like 8, 9 o'clock at night. That uniform stunk. I mean, it reeked. The station ended up smelling bad. And my partner's like, "Don't you have an extra uniform?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "We got no washing machine. What are you going to do now?" Right. You know, and I learned that lesson the hard way.
So always have extra uniform.
Always have it, because you don't know. I mean, if you do get anything on you, you want to be able to change it.
I've had to wear scrubs before.
I've had to wear, in the ER, I've had to wear scrubs before.
Even on the ambulance while they were washing my clothes. Because
that was a benefit of the hospital service, coming full circle. You could get backup scrubs.
Until they get clean, yeah.
Let's talk about not just of your equipment. You need to decon your truck. It's so easy. What is it? 1 part Clorox to 10 parts water. Done. It's
or just the germicide. It's already there. Your employer should be providing it for you.
Well, we had the homemade germicide when I was on the truck, on all the trucks. But it's whatever, it works. It kills everything. Mm-hmm. So you get just wash good. Just make sure you actually decon. So I'm not personally worried about that as much as, God, Axe body spray is not a shower. It is not. And I work with so many people who. I worked with some women.
Haven't showered in 3 days.
Well, okay, not the women who did that, but the guys would come in, hadn't showered in, like you said, in 3 days, and we're about to go on a call, and they literally, in the day room, like this would be a day room. Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. You're stinking up my day room, and you're going to stink up my truck. No. And he thought I was kidding. I grabbed another EMT and left on the call. I'm like, I'm not taking you. You stink. I mean, I hate those smells. I had ladies I worked with who thought they had to be pretty. They made up their hair, had their nails, put on perfume. No. Smells are bad. Dip is okay, but it can be bad. I hate when people dip into a glove and leave it in the truck. You're being respectful. Smokers, I have a hard time talking about smokers because I understand why some of them do it. I understand it's a trust, but smoke can stink. And there are people who will think, I've been around smokers, you would never smell it, and they're chain smokers. Mm-hmm. But I've been around people who they weren't even smoking, and you're like, oh my God, the 12 packs come rolling off of you. You got to be considerate of everybody, but perfume, strong smells can trigger allergic reactions.
Yep.
They can give me headaches or asthma attacks. So shower, clean your teeth. I started chewing Dentine gum, and I still do to this day because I really enjoy it. Sugar-free. So it wasn't hurting my health. And I got the Dentine ice, and it killed bad breath. So in the middle of the night, as soon as we got a call, I popped out a piece of gum. Do it. You would never know I had bad breath or whatever because you're in people's faces. And even if you're getting a refusal, nobody wants that.
Right.
You know, you need to be able to brush your teeth, those kind of things.
Another thing, too, like with the cleanliness, is take your gloves, like whenever you're doing your patient care, and especially if you're the EMT, you're back in the back of the truck helping get the patients situated and stuff, and now it's time to go, take your gloves off.
Oh, yeah.
Don't go up front with your gloves on and grab the steering wheel.
I always taught my partners that. You know, you slide the thumb up in one, ball it to the other, slide it up, and then you're good, and you're not contaminating yourself.
That's what we teach them here in school.
Exactly. I think I taught that. I've learned that in school, but I've had to show people.
But you take your nasty gloves, you put on the steering wheel, and then later on, what are you doing? You know, and then you got the remember to decontaminate your microphone on your radio.
Oh yeah.
Because now that is kind of hard. You got your dirty gloves on. Dude's bleeding everywhere. He's dying.
Now, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to grab it, talk, put it back, but just remember to clean
top down in the crevices everywhere. And National was great. Newton was great about. We had truck cleaning day. You'd wash your truck every time, but there's truck cleaning day one day a week
where you
took everything out, scrubbed it down. Everybody had to participate. It was a thing, and that I think a lot of services have that. Some people skip on it, whether the service has it or not. But it's no more piece of advice. Last piece of advice before we get out here. And I had that last question about. We have time. Yeah. So the last piece of advice is you got to do it for yourself. You can't. I'm gonna pretend Tom's my partner. I like Tom. We've worked together for a long time. I can't trust Tom to do for me. I just can't. He's going to do for him. So if I'm getting in and checking off the truck, I'm kind of eyeballing on, oh, there's some dirt here or some blood or whatever spot. We'll clean it up. I take a stick and or something, not my fingers, my point, run it behind the edges of the seats. If it's something that flips up, you should be flipping it up to check off your gear underneath it anyway. People drop needles. People do accidental things. Not assigning malice to anybody. Yeah,
the Lancets
things happen.
It happens.
So be careful, but do for you. Make sure you set up your gear the way you want it. Though I always went in and I made a pre-tube kit. And be consistent. Yeah. And that's how it goes. So the last question I had, and we got a suggestion for next week, was the what you would never do. Have you ever done something you swore as a young person with EMS? I'd never do that, and then you found yourself doing it?
I'd never do that.
Or maybe we start off the next show with that.
Yeah, let's start off.
So that's a question.
We're a
little over. Yeah. So everybody think about that. We'd like to have your stories and your answers. Have you ever thought about, I'd never do that? And I'm not talking about, again, please don't incriminate yourself because we will read it. And we'll read your name. And somebody might come knocking on your door.
I've never run into a parked cop car. That's a story for next week.
All right. So, but yeah, if there's something you've never said, I would never do, then you ended up doing it. It can be anything for EMS or your life, because there's people who watch and aren't part of EMS. We'd love to hear your stories. Facebook.com, it's Georgia, all spelled out, right? Georgia Institute of EMS.
Georgia EMT.
Georgia EMT.
Or no, on Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook.
Yeah, Georgia Institute of EMS. Sorry.
All right, just search Georgia Institute of EMS. It pops up. It's that logo right there, and the one you're going to see here at the very end of the thing. The website is georgiaemt.com. Did we get the email for the show yet?
Not yet.
All right. What's an email? What's an email that they can
info@gaiems.com.
There you go. And we'd like to hear from you, so definitely send those in. Next week,
you can message us on Facebook too.
Absolutely.
And we'll get it.
Next week, we're going to talk about the EMS on work-life balance.
That's a good one.
That's a super good one. That's a hard one to learn.
And Crystal, be ready to talk about Dave Ramsey a little bit with us. We'll talk about that. That helps work-life balance.
It absolutely does. I didn't learn it until I left EMS, but yeah, it would have changed. It changes everything. So you can find more of me at charlesmcfall.com. I've got a ton of shows I do out there. So you got anything else before we go next week?
That's it. Thank you, Brandon, for the questions, and Michael and Wesley and Crystal and everybody else who logged in, and William. Steve Milligan, thank you for being there. Jeremy, man, y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
And you can find this on YouTube or no?
Yeah, I'm uploading them on YouTube. You can find them at georgiaemt.com and our blog as well. So
there you go.